So it's a Thursday, which means it's update day, but what's interesting is this is the final update of season 2, and what came along with it were a handful of surprises, some expected changes, and some teasers all put into one. So today we're gonna break down absolutely everything you need to know, from a new weapon within Modern Warfare to the playlist updates and the things you can expect to see within season 3 that we ended up getting teased today. So as we go along, let me know your thoughts down below. What are you guys looking forward to the most? Are you looking forward to trying out this new weapon in Modern Warfare? Are you looking forward to the content coming within season 3? Whatever it is, feel free to let me know your thoughts. But as well, if you enjoy the video, make sure to drop a like down below, and of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Warzone, Cold War, and anything in season 3, because we're gearing up for a big week ahead and potentially a big couple of weeks. So if you're interested in joining the community as we're on that road to 400,000 subscribers, I'd love to have you. But said, let's jump into the update at hand. First things first, what's playable? What's the difference in your game compared to last week? Well, this week got some introductions in terms of hidden content that you probably weren't aware of unless you specifically looked for it, our weekly changes we normally get, and teasers for the coming season of content. So let's start with a bombshell here. We're actually going to start with Modern Warfare this time as opposed to Black Ops Cold War as that lead off and main title, because out of nowhere, one of those long-awaited Modern Warfare weapons, it dropped. We don't have the CX-9 or the RAL just yet, but as it stands currently, the Psychov pistol has been added into Modern Warfare and Warzone. The Psychov's introduction comes with an organic weapon challenge, and as of the time of recording this, a weird bundle that isn't there for a lot of people, but for some is, that being the Sparks bundle. But the Psychov's challenge is to get 4 kills with pistols in 5 different matches. Greatly shorter than other weapon challenges as of late, but it's quite possible you actually may already have this unlocked. If you remember back to when this was first introduced in the game files, that was about halfway through season 6 of Modern Warfare, but then around season 1, that time frame, the first major seasonal update after their introduction to the game files, the Psychov challenges and other weapons that were yet to be released in the game files for things like Cold War weapons, of melees and the Street Sweeper, their challenges were actually unlocked to organically earn them, but their weapon challenge rewards were not unlocked. So the challenge was progressing in the background, but with 0 actual rewards once you completed it. It just said you unlocked it, you couldn't actually use it though. This was in the prime of the DMR dual Diamati's meta, so if you played Warzone, there's actually a high chance you may already have 4 kills with pistols in 5 different matches already completed here, and it could be unlocked for day 1 use right now. Now, what is strange though is that I have seen quite a few people saying this doesn't progress for them so far in that organic unlock challenge, which partially makes me wonder if this was dropped by mistake once again here, because we've seen that happen a couple of times within Modern Warfare already, and even in Cold War to some extent here, with mismanagement of release dates or whatever it may be, in which the challenge may not be fully live. But just know that if your progression isn't working, 1, you're not alone, and 2, we just don't know the full extent of this just yet. Now, through Private Match, looking at some of these weapon build options you have, it definitely looks interesting, because there are definitely some things that may make this a contender for close quarters dominance, especially with a barrel that allows this thing to go full auto. So that's introduced though. We'll see if that is pulled into Warzone's meta for the time being, or maybe even pulled from the game like the Al Rob Air Base and drainage maps were, because maybe this was air quote accidentally introduced, but we'll have to wait and see here at this. But the patterns set in motion with previous release schedules are kind of non-existent at this point. They're kind of just dropping whenever, so maybe the next weapons and operators are right on the horizon. But that's the big exciting part here that again was kind of not mentioned in any official capacity whenever it dropped. But in terms of playable modes here, the big lead off this week for Cold War is that of Blueprint Gun Game, which sees you going through the gauntlet of 20 weapons to be the first one to the score limit. But instead of the normal weaponry and base levels of those weapons, you now have custom attachments and skins in accordance with whatever blueprints you're given for all players in that progression through the ranks. So it adds a bit more of a dynamic to the gameplay, but overall it's kind of just a thematic change that offers a subtle difference from the original gun game. In terms of your other playlists, you have your traditional standard modes that we've seen plenty of times and that are staples at this point, things like Snipers Only, Nuketown 24/7, Fire Team, Face Off, Gunfight, and the likes. It's a relatively small update this week in terms of the changes and playlists on offer, because the more larger things and focused things are coming as of next week. On the Warzone side of things, we'll see some subtle changes in the playlist here, and the rotation of things in the Gulag has been changed up as well. Thankfully, the Gulag is scheduled to change, because I was a little on tilt from 2 straight weeks of the Fist Gulag, then going directly to the Dual Deagle Gulag, which is all based upon RNG Bloom and isn't any indication of who's the more skilled player. It's just whoever gets lucky or hip fire. But Anyways, it's kind of me going off on a personal rant there. Anyways, the update itself, outside of that, ended up introducing us to this week's playlists of your traditional BR in solos, duos, trios, and quads as per norm, but then Rebirth got a little bit of extra love here this week, with Rebirth Resurgence quads staying around, but also introduced is Resurgence duos. So Rebirth having both the duos and quads options here in the Resurgence playlist, but then we also see Plunder Blood Money cap off this week, giving you a little bit more extra cash yield for kills and contract completions. Now, in terms of playable items here and things that are interactable within Warzone, the Zombies Outbreak that's been going on for the entirety of Season 2 is finally starting to kind of culminate into that boiling point, it seems like. Not only one have zombies moved to Dam instead of where they were at Superstore, so a little bit, in my mind, lesser populated of an area, less traffic in that area, and Super now becomes viable once again, but also not mentioned anywhere was that the containment protocol has now been raised, to which if you go to any of those consoles, it showcases 100%. We even got a blog detailing this a little bit further on Call of Duty's blog site. Then also, we ended up seeing that there are now contamination areas. There are zones right now of shipwreck and prison that start out very small and then progress to be a large bubble in those areas, extending out to that pasture just south of port, and then also a little further as well above prison north of that, extending past that buy zone that is usually there on that cliffside. But what's interesting about this is that it's a very slow burn death that comes along with it. You end up going into it and it's kind of like a radiation effect, essentially, where it slowly depletes your health, but then you end up dying if you stay in it too long. You can go outside of it and replenish your health, so just make sure that maybe you stay away from these areas, effectively cutting off a portion of the map here. What's interesting is that if you play this in solos, you do go to the gulag, but if you end up dying in other modes, or potentially even, I didn't stay in unfortunately long enough to see if you died to it twice after your gulag, you can turn into a zombie, the same character models and characteristics that you had from the Haunting of Verdansk event back in October. So quite an interesting twist here with this, and is something rather interesting, I think. I'm curious to see if this progresses and we get more outbreak or contamination zones as the time progresses here over the next week leading up to that potential event here on the 21st, but we'll have to wait and see. On the Modern Warfare side of things, we end up seeing introduced this week in terms of playlists: Realism Ground War, Blueprint Gunfight, Shoot the Ship, Gunfight Snipers Only, Drop Zone, and Headquarters Firefight. That variation of Headquarters where you end up earning score for both objective and kill confirms. So a little bit extra on top of that extra weapon that we ended up seeing introduced here with this. But as for the potential changes or reintroductions of the maps that were removed from Modern Warfare of Al Rob Airbase and Drainage, those both are still out of the loop, so for the time being, we don't have a lot on that front. Really curious though if we'll see those introduced, and if so, when that will be happening, but only time will tell. The only other things that were introduced as of today were in the shop in a small capacity. Coming back to it, like we mentioned, it's there for some people, but not for others, is that Sparks Operator bundle. For this, if it does show up, you can end up purchasing it for 2,400 COD points with the Sparks Operator, the Frozen Waste EBR skin, the Monviso Psychov pistol, a vehicle skin, a weapon charm, a finishing move, a calling card, emblem spray, and operator quip, all for, again, that 2,400 COD points. But it's just so interesting to me that this is there for some and not for others, which lends to that fact that maybe this wasn't meant to be released just yet. And given that, again, people are having issues ranking up this weapon or unlocking it to begin with, I'm really curious as to what the fate of all of this is, whether or not it will be removed within the next 24 hours like Al Rob and Drainage were, or if it's something that just eventually rolls out to everybody. But as of the time of recording this, this may be there or it may not be. We ended up seeing that as of the last couple of days, the Corpse Collector bundle was introduced, in which that came along with the Beck Carnage skin, the Ultimate Hunter XM4 blueprint, the Doom Hammer Sledgehammer blueprint, the Skull Vertebrae charm, the Play Count finishing move, which is probably one of the standout items of this bundle, the Inspired by Death sticker, the Gentle Push calling card, the Bucket vehicle skin, and the Doom Slayer emblem. That coming along all for 2,000 COD points, but personally, this is a cool one in relation to that skin and the finishing move, but this one I think is a pass on my end. I'm probably a broken record at this point, but when it comes to a first-person perspective game, I only care about the items that I can see myself if I'm paying for it. I don't really think that hand models of the Beck skin is worth $20, but that's just me. But also introduced today was that of the Stitch Sentinel bundle, which comes along with the 4 Sentinel Stitch Operator skin, the Overrun Mac-10 blueprint, the Cottontail Pellington blueprint, a finishing move, and a couple of reticles, calling cards, emblems, and charms, all for 2,400 COD points. Once again, though, coming down to it, this one may be a pass for me. I'm not entirely enthralled with the camo or skin selection on the weapons, and while Stitch is pretty awesome, again, for 2,400 COD points, not sure if that's entirely my jam. One thing, though, that is interesting here is that you may have actually seen a free bundle introduced within Black Ops Cold War as of this week, in which it comes along with the Northern Aggression Type 63 blueprint and 15 minutes of a double weapon XP token. So definitely something that can be useful, especially if you end up ranking up that new Psychov pistol within Warzone and need a little bit of a boost. These transfer back and forth, but that's available for free as well. Now, if any of these items in the shop do interest you and you want to help support the channel a little further, like Unknown, Spring, Simon, and Dan have, you can use code Espresso in the in-game item shop. It's entirely optional, but it is there if you do wish to support the channel a little further. And if you end up using code Espresso in the item shop, feel free to tweet me a picture. I'd love to shout out some of your generous support here in upcoming videos. But that's what was introduced as of today in-game and what was available here on offer for players to experience, but that's not the only thing we'll end up getting, because as of tomorrow, we'll end up seeing that triple-double event happen, in which that's double XP, double weapon XP, and double battle pass progression as well for an entire weekend within Cold War and Warzone. So if you have anything you need to grind out here for the last weekend of Season 2, this is absolutely the best time to do it. There was that tier sale going on here over the last couple of days, and I think actually maybe even the last week, but to me, this is absolutely the better way to do it because you're just putting in the time instead of money into it. But that'll be coming as of tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific time, going until Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. in the UK. So jump on that while you can. And finally, to round out this video here, we ended up getting our first kind of teaser for Cold War into Warzone for Season 3 here as of today, in which we got the intro cinematic, which wasn't anything too spectacular, didn't give away all that much, but it was something that confirmed some more ties within Verdansk and Warzone for Black Ops Cold War. The story seems to directly be going and tying into Warzone now at this point, which may lead to a 1980s variation of the map. But what's interesting is that in this cutscene, they do directly mention Verdansk, but the image shown is actually current day Verdansk, not 1980s Verdansk. So kind of a weird time jump there that I don't know if it was intentional or not, but was kind of a break in continuity. But that was introduced as of today as well, just kind of hyping up people a little bit for what's coming as of next week. But that said, that is the update here within Warzone, Cold War, and Modern Warfare even. So let me know your thoughts down below. What do you guys think of this update so far? Are you looking forward to using the Psychov pistol? You're looking forward to what may be on deck here in the weekend with the double XP event? Whatever it is, feel free to let me know your thoughts down below. But hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to drop a like down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so it's a single thing running all things Warzone, Cold War, and anything COD related. We'll keep you up to date with absolutely everything, especially as we round into Season 3 here. So stick it here on the channel if you guys want to stay up to date with absolutely everything. If you also want to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, those are the best places to get connected outside of YouTube. Probably live on both those. If you guys want to check my conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, that link is down there in the description below. That said, thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.